What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Off the Bench. Let's dive right in since we've been long with AT, and I love this next man, the best coach that I've ever had in my entire life, somebody who has probably yelled at me more than anybody else, as Jacob Hester told you on the radio the other day. One time, he, in an effort to motivate me, said, T-Bob, do you think you're athletic? And in my pain, I looked up and said, sir, no, sir, because I was so beaten down, only for him to then build me back up. I'm talking about legendary strength coach Tommy Moffitt. Coach Moffitt, what's up, man?
T-Bob, I am so sorry.
No, hey, look, man. What you want out of your coach is if you trust your coach and you do what they say, even if it doesn't sound right to you or it's hard, are they putting you in the best position to succeed? You do that. I've experienced that. So here's my question to you. What's going on with this team right now? We're in January, off season just really kicking in. What's going on in the weight room? How are you getting these guys ready for spring?
Yeah, great question. So we have two groups of guys. We have one group that's still rehabbing. You know, at the end of the season, you always have a small group of guys that, you know, were banged up because of all the work that we did. And so AC joints, you name it, you know. So we're cleaning those guys up. Doing a lot of rehab with those guys. And then the rest of the squad is squatting, benching, power cleaning, deadlifting, speed improvement drills. And we're doing football school twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday. So it's going great, man. Got a great attitude. We have phenomenal leadership with, 20 of 22 starters from the last half of the season coming back. So it's been great. It's been phenomenal.
You mentioned attitude, coach. That's exactly where I wanted to go next, because I've even seen it firsthand, right? There's a massive difference in coming off a championship season and an underachieving season. What is the current attitude of this team right now?
It's phenomenal. And, I was talking to somebody upstairs yesterday about this. When you get your nose rubbed in the dirt, you have a little edge about you. And it's unfortunate that sometimes it has to come down to that, but we know from the greatest of the great athletes, we all learn by failure. And when you're dealing with young men, young women in any sport, when you win and you're successful, you think everything is going to be great. And sometimes you got to get your nose rubbed in the dirt. So these guys have been phenomenal. In fact, we're doing some 40s right now after the workout, and I'm sitting here watching them, and they're doing a phenomenal job. Everybody's got their hands behind the line. Nobody's jumping off sides. Everybody's finishing through the line. They're talking to each other, and that's the core attitude that you got to have in order to win a championship.
Yeah. What kind of work? Are we talking perfect sprints? Are we talking the 20-40s?
Okay, yeah, so great question. So it's a simulated perfect sprints. That's what we're doing exactly because, we're going to go right into the fourth quarter program here in a couple of weeks and then in the spring ball. So today is like a simulated perfect sprint day. And so that's what I'm looking at. Now we're not, we're teaching it and going through it and making sure that everybody's in the proper line and everybody's broke down. And so correct. You never forget, do you, T-Bob? Never forget.
No, I think all of the pain.
Lessons that will last a lifetime.
Real talk, though, more real than the amount of your sayings and lessons that are jammed into my brain and pop up like literally on a daily basis. I'm talking to Coach Moffitt here at the Jim's Firearms.net hotline. Coach, so we talked about the different attitude. What about kind of the impact that you've seen on these kids mentally over this pandemic, right? Because I can't really imagine what it would be like not having the release that me and other guys had back in the day. How are you trying to help these kids manage the mental adversity?
Yeah, well, fortunately for us, a lot of that is behind us. And a lot of the work that we're having to do now on some of the little things is because of the pandemic. There were so many time constraints put on us, the group sizes, and the fact that like this year's freshman class that played football for us this year, a lot of those guys were kicked out of their high school weight rooms in March, and the health clubs were closed. So we have a lot of freshmen, first-year freshmen and redshirt freshmen on this team that haven't really been through a rigorous off-season program because they were not able to do what I sent them after signing day. And then when we got here in June, there were so many restrictions placed on us that, we're behind. And so we're still playing catch-up T-Bob. And, then you had people opting out and the transfer portal. There's a lot on these young kids' plate these days that people like you and guys before you never experienced.
Yeah.
But we've got a great schedule, incredible schedule this spring. And there's not a big long Mardi Gras break, unfortunately, for some of these guys. And then there's not a spring break. We only have like 3 days off this entire spring. Wow. Where the players don't have class. So it's a lot different school calendar this year as well. So the summer program starts on May 24th now because we have a new school calendar as well. So they'll finish up at the end of April, and then they'll be back like May 24th. Whereas you guys, when y'all came back, it wasn't until the second week of the month of June. Yeah. So we're going to have the time that we need. Which is going to be great. You take the attitude, the calendar that we have, and the amount of restricted time with them. It's going to be a great spring, and I'm looking forward to it.
And it seems like, I think you just answered this question, so we'll have you on again sometime later, maybe expound on it, kind of these young linemen, trying to get them in shape. I know you got to go, so I'll ask you a question that Paul Strickland asked in the YouTube chat here. How's freshman Mason Smith looking?
Mason is a very flexible. He's got great flexibility, and so here's I like to compare, current players or freshmen with former players when they were freshmen. And if you were to compare him to, say, Tyson Jackson and Michael Brockers, because that's the type of size that he has. Compared to those guys right now, he's got more flexibility. He's probably leaner than what those two were at this time. So he's got a great head start on some guys that have been really good here. Now, I don't want to put pressure on him and say he's going to be better than Michael Brockers or greater than Tyson Jackson. But when you look at him physically and the way his structure is put together, he's got phenomenal flexibility, and he's in good shape right now. He was heavy, and I think his weight loss has been chronicled, on Instagram and all, but he did a phenomenal job of losing weight and getting in shape and coming in here lean. And he's got great weight discipline. And, that's something that's important. I can run them, and the nutritionist can meet with them and talk to them, and we can do all the extra in the world. But unless you have the discipline to do that yourself when you're not around this facility, none of that matters. And he's one of those guys that watches what he eats, and, he carries and acts and, talks like a pro. And so that's been phenomenal to see.
Oh, man, I love it, Coach. This has been a phenomenal interview. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you got to go. You have an excellent day. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Thank you, T-Bob. God bless you. We'll see y'all later. Bye.
Yes, sir. Coach Moffitt, the man who once told me, T-Bob, your ass is so wide I could spell Mississippi across the back. And I mean that with love. No, Emil, no Capri Sun in the fridge, unfortunately. If there was Capri Sun in the fridge, I would drink it. I would melt down into a silver mercury mass, and I would fly out of this window into the sun, because growing up in the 90s, that's what I was taught that Capri Sun did to you. All right, when we get back here on Off the Bench, we're going to talk about some changes as the New Orleans Saints are going through some things right now, going through some changes. We'll talk about it next here on